Shopping for the correct well water filter can be frustrating and confusing, with hundreds of dealers all presenting different products and many of them saying theirs is the best, and you're probably getting a wide spectrum of answers and sales presentations. They got filters for $80, they got filters for $2,500, $3,900. The problem is this is an unregulated industry. That means you don't need a license or you don't need any training to be in it or to be a dealer or to prescribe filters for people who are in need. That means if they have dangerous bacteria or they have serious water issues or any water problems, they can tell you whatever it takes to make a sale, and they do it all the time. Not funny if you've paid thousands or even hundreds of dollars for one of these and had to have it removed. So as a consideration before you go any further, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience. I started as a plumber's helper in the 70s, and in the 80s I became a licensed plumber. I made my living as a service plumber, specializing in water treatment and full spectrum of plumbing repairs in residential homes, commercial buildings, condominiums, high-rises, hospitals, labs, government installations, and restaurants. I serviced my customers' plumbing problems, and it led me into well filtration in the 90s. And I became a dealer in 1995. There are two kinds of customers. Ones that already have filtration systems or filters, and ones that are moving into homes with well water for the first time. I'm going to go over the systems and the filters that do not work first, and I'm going to show you the reason why you shouldn't get them and the problems they cause with actual pictures that I've taken on jobs where I've removed this equipment. The first remedy I'm going to show you that most dealers offer and what most well owners purchase first is an inline filter. These do not work, and when they do have to be serviced, they're clogged up in 2 weeks and you start losing your water pressure. They don't remove anything you notice, and the problem is with these is they can be a nursery for bacteria. More than likely, the reason why you're here looking for a filter is you have hardness, which is spots on your glasses, corrosion in your dishwasher, plumbing pipes that are getting eroded, and spots on your glass in the shower, your laundry problems. That is calcium carbonate, lime and scale, magnesium, iron, and nickel, and all the hard metals and rock in your water, and these filters do not remove it. Not only do inline filters, or a battery of inline filters, do not remove the rock from your water, or the heavy minerals and the metals, but they do not remove sulfur gas, which is the rotten egg smell that you can get in your well water. It's either seasonal, or you have it from the day you move in to the day you move out. Sulfur is a gas. You cannot filter it out. It has to be aerated or oxidized and then filtered. There's 2 types of systems for that. If you're on well water, you should have full spectrum filtration. Okay, so we're going to go over the second level of filtration, and there are 2 types, aeration and oxidation. First, we're going to look at the aeration system. This is a system that sprays water into the air in a 300-gallon tank using a secondary pump other than the pump that your house already has, and a secondary bladder tank and a secondary points box. This type of system is used for removing sulfur gas, the rotten egg smell. The problem is with this system is it's complicated, costly, and it's not mechanically reliable because it has 3 more of everything that your well has. The other problems with this system is, other than having an extra pump, an extra bladder tank, and an extra set of points, is that it does not filter, and it can also be another nursery for bacteria. We pull hundreds of these types of systems out every year. Some of the drawbacks are, for one, it doesn't filter. However, you can add this system to your filtration. The only drawback is that it can be a nursery for bacteria as well. In that tank, it's non-chlorinated water. And another problem is sulfur gas. I've noticed on many jobs, if it's over 5 parts per million, you still have sulfur smell in the water. And sulfur gas is not healthy. The problem with these old systems are they were engineered back in the early 70s during the great housing boom. They're virtually unchanged, and most dealers use this as a level 2 filtration system. This means if they're not selling you an inline filter, they're moving you up to an aeration system. These tanks can breed bacteria, and the bacteria that's in this tank feeds the water distribution piping in your house, which can range from 600 feet to 3,000 feet of potable water piping, and I'm going to show you the effects that will have. Before I show you the photographs of actual bacteria in the piping of the homes on well water, of jobs where I've installed systems with systems that are already in place or without systems for filtration, I'm going to show you a second type of filtration called oxidation filtration. This is a system that can use liquid chlorine and medias with a retention vessel to process your raw well water. These are made by manufacturers that have engineered these systems during the early 70s during the great housing boom. These systems are antiquated and they're still sold today, and there's about 12 different brands. When you go through the internet and you're looking at different dealers' websites, these are the brands that they're offering. These customers that I've removed these systems from, many of them have had them for 10 years, and they've had 2 or 3 major service calls from the dealer each year, spending $400, $700, and $1,200 and up servicing these systems to keep them working. These types of systems, even when they're brand new, 6 weeks old, they start having their first problems. They're not treating the bacteria, and they're having iron problems because of oxidation levels that are not high enough. And when you don't have high enough oxidation levels, you cannot treat the iron and filter it. You cannot turn the sulfur from a gas to a solid, and the bacteria will overrun the system and move into the house, into your potable water piping system. Some of the most common complaints of these systems are having to rebed the medias constantly. Some of them have to do them every 6 months to every 3 years, and it costs $475 and up. Another problem are the power heads. When they break, the dealer has to fix them. And when they have to fix them, the average bill is about $375 and up, and you usually have 2 of them. These oxidation systems come with a chlorinator. The chlorinator is an electric pumping unit. The unit has to be filled with liquid chlorine bleach or pool chlorine at a mixture of 4:1 to be correct. Most customers never get this right. And what happens is you get chlorine curd build up inside the top baskets under the power heads. This can cause flow problems. Chlorinators generally have a lifespan of about 15 months, a few months past the warranty. Chlorine is essential as an oxidizer in well filtration. If you don't have chlorine, you cannot address high iron. High iron can be 3 parts per million or over, and many well waters have it. This causes service problems, as you can see in this picture. It gums up the media, the power heads, it gets in the plumbing pipes of the house and restricts flow. And another problem is sulfur. Many wells have a sulfur gas which has to be oxidized to be filtered. And then all wells have some sort of a bacteria. The bacteria can also take away from the chlorine. Those 3 elements alone are like a sponge. They soak up the chlorine. Any one of those can destroy the power of the chlorine if it's only 10 to 40%. And then it's not like having chlorine at all. And then that causes service problems and annoying water issues in the house. These last three images of piping is the minimum bacteria that I've found on 100% of the well water homes that I've serviced. Whether you have an antiquated, poorly engineered system built by others, or you have no system at all, that is the minimum you can expect to find. In the next few images, I'm going to show you what bacteria can look like when it's left untreated for an extended period of time with a system that is contributing to the problem. These next few images are of systems that were in place already when I arrived. Each one had an electric liquid chlorinator, and they still had this problem before and after the system. This means that this was in every square inch of their home's piping of their potable water distribution system in the house. Each house contains 600 to about 3,000 feet of drinking water pipe. These pictures were all taken on the job, and these systems were manufactured by franchises and independents. Each one that I removed, I always took a picture of each job I did. This is a reverse osmosis line. This bacteria came from an inline filter. The customer bought a battery of inline filters, and she had to change them constantly, purchasing them from the dealer, and they never made a difference, except that it harbored bacteria. This one was out on the other side on the east coast of Florida. She had no idea that she had anything wrong with her water, and she had a chlorinator. What can cause dangerous bacteria to end up in potable wells? Usually it's the environmental conditions. Homes are all on top of septic tanks that are on wells. There are usually millions of homes in every state. The bacteria can be introduced into the aquifer or your water table or your well through a defective septic tank system or runoff from agriculture, farms, and other source feeds. It's an environmental condition. The following are different types of pathogens that can be in well water. As long as your well is potable and it's certified, it may not have bacteria now, but conditions can change in the future. It's always recommended that when you live on well water, you have it tested for bacteria annually, because conditions can change. However, they can change at any time. The best thing to do is to invest in a good mechanic that properly engineers a system that is not like the franchise systems or the over-counter equipment available to independents. Now we're going to talk about a device that is offered by many online dealers. It's a stainless steel UV light. Now we're going to talk about a different type of technology. It's a favorite among online dealers. You'll typically see it on one of those Google pay-per-click ads where they don't have a ranking website. Their system is about $3,400, and they use this UV light for one reason: it's easy for the customer to install. It looks good to market with their system on their pictures, and it's a good profit-building item. The thing about a UV light, in my opinion, is if you're going to rely on it for pathogens in the water, that bulb starts losing 10% of its efficiency every 30 days. It has to be replaced every 12 months. That means that that unit has lost 50% of its efficiency 6 months through the year. Now, if you look at a UV light and you look at it as compared to what's used in the hospitals, One of the most popular diseases in the hospital is transferred by medical instruments. That's put under a UV light 20 or 30 minutes on each side and flipped, and then put through a chemical bath. And they still have a problem with diseases transferred in hospitals. In fact, it's one of the biggest problems. So that is my own personal opinion on a UV light. The biggest consideration is it doesn't take the place of a liquid oxidizer. You're not going to oxidize the iron. You're not going to set that up for filtration. You're not going to take the sulfur and turn it from a gas to a solid. And you saw the pictures of those bacterial problems. You're not going to cure that because the UV lights that I pulled out, I've seen exactly the same bacterial problems. So I don't use a UV light in any of my installations. So what we've learned here is there is no shortcut to making good well water, and there's no way to keep a system working properly if it's not engineered and dumping all of the contaminants that it filters to the drain. If it's collecting even 1% of the contaminants and not oxidizing properly, then it's only a matter of time before it shuts down. That's when it gets expensive to own a filtration system. If you have an inline filter, it doesn't do much at all for water quality. You're changing the elements every 2 weeks. That gets costly, and it doesn't correct water hardness or odors in the water or cures any iron problems. So you have a home and you want to do something about your well water, and you know that none of those online remedies are going to work. You cannot shortcut the process. You need a full spectrum system, and that's where I come in. In 1999, I came out with the Well Guru system. It's a full processing well water filtration platform. What you'll need to have your system installed is what you see in the picture, which is a bladder tank, which has an air Schrader valve on top. They can be made out of steel or glass. And you have a home well water pump. It's either above ground or below ground. In the picture above, you'll see that it's an above ground pump, which generally means it's a shallow well. My system works on shallow or deep wells. In this picture, we're going to look at the Well Guru system. This is a system I've been engineering since 1999. I came out with this technology to accept trichloropucks. The system is engineered from the ground up to utilize an oxidizing chlorine at 90% value. Not 10%, not 40%, but 90%. That gives us the deepest penetration for extracting and filtering contaminants. In this picture, we see our new 2015 AFS Well Guru system, featuring our Generation 2 chlorinator. It's an exclusive of AFS. This new unit replaces our model previous that we built for 14 years. The most reliable chlorinator on the market, easiest to use, and the oxidation level is at 90%. All other chlorinators on the market are 10 to 40. Our next competitor is 60. 90% is what it takes, and this uses 100% pure chlorine. Easy to use, stabilized tablets that you can obtain locally. Also an exclusive for our Generation 2 chlorinator, it has redundant backwater protection. In the event that your foot valve fails at the bottom of your well, it will not cause harm to the system. And it also has a brass pressure blow-off that resets. In the event that your pump in your points box or your Franklin box malfunctions and overpressurizes, it will not harm the system. Our chlorinator is considered to be stage 1, In the center, you'll see that vessel is stage 2, our AFS multi-chambered retention tank, made of pure virgin poly, wrapped with 60-pound monofilament. This high-technology tank weighs only 80 pounds dry. The bottom compartment will take 80 microns and above, and once every 30 days, it's purged and those contaminants are removed from the system. With sulfur in the water, this is where all the magic takes place. Sulfur is turned from a gas to a solid, so it can be filtered out. Bacteria is addressed by the chlorine retention in the vessel. This new vessel for 2015 has quick connect upper ports. To the right side of the retention vessel, you'll see our conditioner digital automated filter. The medias in this vessel are time proven. We're going on 14 years and no customers have had to replace the media yet. This goes far beyond any of the other over-the-counter or independent franchise medias that are available for a platform for a conditioner. The next automated filter is to the left of the retention vessel. This sister filter is the well softening portion of the system. This is what softens your water and conditions it. These electronic panels in both these units are warranted for 10 full years. Not 90 days, not 1 year. They have the longest warranty on the market. They are military-style electronics. They are not printed circuit boards, they are epoxy resin coated. The electric boards use a laser eye on a hologram for perfect alignment every time it regenerates. It does not have 8 to 12 or 14 gears. It's the simplest mechanism and the most reliable on the market. It's engineered to be dealer service free. In the unlikely event that you had any troubleshooting to do, it only takes 5 minutes to repair, and the one part to rebuild it is $50. These are engineered for us to ship any place on the planet, and we do not have to service them. Our AFS platform is a full spectrum system. It's got the capability of filtering thousands of contaminants, removing iron, treating sulfur, treating bacteria like no other system on the market. All systems that soften water have to use salt. So the system uses easy to use, easy to store chlorine tablets, 1 to 4 a month, depending on your family size. Now we're looking at a salt hopper. This system is so sophisticated, we are able to save you up to 70% in salt over any other brand. In fact, my most popular recontact by email is, "Eric, my system doesn't seem to be using any salt. The water's fine, but it's not like our other system." That's because this unit is engineered not to use excessive salt. Most of my customers, over 90% of them, use a single bag of salt every 6 weeks. Not 1 or 2 bags a week, just 1 bag every 6 weeks. Sodium chloride is essential for keeping the system clean. It doesn't add the salt or the brine to the water. The salt is used to regenerate the media. Once that media captures the calcium carbonate, lime and scale, and magnesium, that media needs to be regenerated. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, usually about once every 1 or 2 weeks, it will draw in a specific amount of brine into the system and automatically clean itself. It's called sodium ionic exchange. There is no electric gizmo on the market. There is no sodium-free softening. Those are all gimmicks. And they're used to try to take business away from legitimate dealers. So if you want spot-free glasses, no tub ring in your bathtub, no soap curd after you use the shower, clean tiles, no laundry fading, and if you want soft, smooth, silky water, that's soft water. And the only way to get it is to use sodium. There is no other alternative. So my system uses only chlorine tablets and sodium, and with that, you have your own water treatment processing plant. You are taking raw well water and turning it around completely and making pure water for your house. It's like having bottled quality water at all your taps. And you can service the system as little as once a month, putting your chlorine in the unit and adding usually a bag of salt, or you can fill the salt container or the hopper 3 times a year. Some families do use more salt. It depends on your water and how many people you have in the family. Your next question is probably, how can I get my own system? Well, we ship free to the lower 48 states. We're located in Florida. It comes in 4 boxes delivered to your driveway. UPS Freight will deliver it on a lift and they'll lower it down on a pallet. It'll be wrapped in plastic, and all the units are programmed and the system is engineered for your well water. It's assembled, any difficult connections are already done, and it's separated into 4 boxes. They're easily managed. All you need is your own light duty dolly. The widest tank is 22 inches. The tallest vessel is 6 foot 7 inches in height. One person can manage each box. The system comes with an easy-to-use Connect kit. You don't need to be an expert to install the system. If you don't like to install your own system, just hire a handyman. It's 3 hours labor. I include full instructions, and I give you free support for life. If you would like to go ahead and place an order for a system, it takes me 2 weeks to build one for out-of-state shipping. Inside the state of Florida, it takes 8 to 12 days for us to build and install. Shipping orders out of Florida are free, and installation inside of Florida, if we don't pay for shipping, we install free. We also have special prices if you would like to pick up a system and you can install it yourself. For out-of-state orders, allow 2 weeks for the engineering of your system and shipping. Send your payment to Aquatic Filter System. The address is provided. And include your phone number and your email address, and I will email you the water analysis after I complete the testing, which usually takes within 24 to 36 hours after I receive your water sample.